Welcome back. Today I'm going to be running through a mini workshop which I mentioned effective ways to increase conversion by having good thumbnails. So I'm going to go through the process of how I build thumbnails from scratch. The photo in the background today is the view from top of St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City overlooking Rome. Definitely a place to visit, especially if you're a history buff. Let's get into it. This is a product we're going to update. It's my gallery walk, Butterfields Pacific Land Battles. This is the old format I was talking about. Back here was when I was experimenting with photography for my products. I realized I didn't have the right setup. So it's very basic. I've got my title, topic. What I have here is the top of resource, the topic it's going, a nice little graphical image I picked out of Canva, and a photo of the resource and no prep lesson across the top. Then a zooming, we look at the thumbnails. There is nothing, essentially nothing there. Despite that, it sells pretty well, but we need to improve that. The way we're going to do this is actually create thumbnails from scratch. The way we're going to do that is actually create thumbnails in Canva. So what I've got here, I've got a square template, and this is a format that I've previously covered that works really well as thumbnails in Canva. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll explain what this frame part is in a minute, the way I design it. And I'm going to do the design that I'm doing at the moment. And I'm just going to step through the different elements, put it together. You can do this design. You can do lots of variations of that. What I do suggest is you go out and have a look at other people's TPT and see what thumbnails they've got. Look at high sellers and see what they offer and what suits your particular style. We're going to start off with a rectangle. Do my heading up here. And I duplicate that, do down the bottom. Here I normally make that, not quite that sort of yellow, nice bright yellow to stand out. And down the bottom, we pick a color. So excuse me, I'm looking around the screen doing that thing. And let's pick a red. So there are our basic elements. One here. And normally I get a arrow shape. That's the one we want here. Now within, okay, so we've got our shape. Let me stretch it out a bit, flatten it up. Here I normally put my title, and what are we looking at? It's a gallery walk. So I make it nice and simple, make it bold. I tend to like this particular one. League Spartan is a font I like, but you can pick any font that you wish there. Still reckon that should be a lot brighter. That's a bit better. I do this one here, and I like it, make it a bit different color, make it green so it stands out. So it's a gallery walk. And you can adjust the size up so it's nice and big and bold. So it's easy to see when people are scrolling through. I'll duplicate that. Let's spin around. Nice and square. Now I use these as my points here to explain what they are. So I can put text inside them. But being all the same colors is a bit boring. So we want to highlight different colors. So let's try pink. There we go. Let's try light blue. And so on. So we've got our points down here. And down the bottom, duplicate that is big. Theater and battles. Obviously that's way too big. Let's drop it down to about 50. Wage World War II at the front. Oops, wrong one. And then we can go through and find a font that sort of suits that. I tend to like Sugar Pie for doing that. And then I'll go into effects and I will outline it. There we go. And then you can basically adjust it, and I'll adjust these depending on the size of the title that I got. Let's get Land Battles, World War II Pacific Theatre. So we've got our resource type, which I think is really important to highlight first, and Pacific Theatres down here. Next thing I do is I start adding some text in here. And we want to add things like, so I'll put in no prep needed. All my resources are no prep. Till we get the font right. And we'll get the text. Going through there. It was bolded. No prep needed. For the resources, I need to adjust that slightly. So we start filling in information. So it's got a slide deck and PDF. So this is telling the top of resources that we're actually getting in here. And we'll just grab that text as well. And teachers. Critical thinking. So there's some of the elements we're actually trying to put in there. Very quick and easy to read. What I also like to put up here is USA aim. Curriculum. So we might need to shrink the fonts down a little. Let's make it a bit more fancy. Yeah, after that. And we'll just center the whole lot. So obviously I put USA because it's my biggest market, So I've got my basic points here. I've got USA, an Australian curriculum, so they know it's actually for the curriculum. Go to a walk and then topic down here, battle. And then I've got some points in here. What I also like to add on there is, because I've got a digital version of it, I used to write a digital version. It's not shapes. Just go back to computer. See all the different computers. Let's find one that looks good. Oh, okay, maybe not. So I'm just looking for a good image of a computer. Usually I go for a laptop because it's more modern. So maybe we'll put in laptop up here. So I'm looking for one that's square on so I can put details on it. Okay. For the purposes, so I'm looking for one square on, so we'll grab this one for this point. And normally I put this down here or somewhere around there. A few others I've put it in here. It just depends on the size of the points on there. And to take the text, I need to put in here, student, digital resources, resource. Okay, we've got to get fit on that screen. So it's going to be much smaller. And that's one way to do it. One thing we can do in here, that's the right element I've got there. We can grab that and if I actually use it on a rectangle, don't we? Okay, we go rectangle. Add a make it the blue. Makes it stand out a little bit more by putting a bit of color in behind there. Yay. So this will be my basic page. And what you can do for different resources, you can change the details on here. Work on the spacing. Blue and blue's maybe not the best. So therefore you could go and pick a different color if you wanted to highlight the sort of differences. You want colors where the text, it isn't too dark. So if you make it too dark, obviously it's not good to read. You're on there. And you can pick different colors. Say the blue is too close to that. You can match that to essentially what you want. Still not happy with this yellow, but I'm not going to fiddle with it now. Okay, the next page I've got is we want to give different information. So the first page is basic information, no prep, slide deck, teaches critical thinking. There's a resource, meets the curriculum, what the title point is. So the 4 should tell a story. Shapes again. Let's grab grab this one. Okay. Let's put that in there. Let's change the color, make it a nice dark color. And once again, we're going to grab some text, grab a heading. So we do say history, skills, and we're going to change this to, whoops, there. There. I was undoing, no wonder. Okay. History, skills. Let's try this again. White text. So it nice stands out really well. You can put a byline in there underneath if you want, so you can get a small little thing I'll show about the history, skills, and knowledge. So the wrong fonts. Let's try. Make sure we spell things right. And then you can have a bit of a byline, develop key history skills. So that's a nice heading. Like the first page, I will grab these type of resources and use them in the bottom. I like the arrows because obviously you can use that to point towards your resources and what they actually offer. And I'll work that one over there, or maybe put it on an angle, change your colors. I do like the light blue. We don't have anything else on this stage. And we'll grab some text. So what are we doing at? Play bills, historical, understanding. Actually, we'll put that up there. Need to adjust the font. You can adjust font size and things like that to fit in your box. So organized, quite easy access. When I do this, bit better so it fits on there. And I do know from my, and there's lots of different things I put in different ones of my text. I can just put an angle, slightly bigger so it fits on better. Move that out there. Okay. Next page is going to be fairly similar. One way to do this is I can delete that page and just go duplicate. Let's say, let's try structured resource. We're at the byline. Shrink the fonts down so it fits. And a bit smaller. I'll make this a bit longer. Make sure you spell it right. So often I've made a resource, thumbnails uploaded and found a spelling error in it. The last section of the video did not work, so I'm just going to re-record it for my last thumbnail. So I'm just going to bring it in here. So that's complete. Learning with resource. Need to shrink that down so it fits. A little bit bigger than that. Put some text in here. Make it black. So my last slide is usually more, I guess, things like solutions, lesson plans, that sort of information. Change the font. I might do Chewy for that. Let's bring it in. There we go. Now we want to grab an arrow. There's one there. Flip around, move it up. Change the color. You see I've probably done this before. And we just bring our last pointer. change it to editable slides so they know they can edit the slides when they download them. And gives them customizable. I also get one more where we've got shapes. And the graphics, let's go into shapes. We just grab this one. Well, it's very small, isn't it? And once again, we just remind people that the resources is curriculum aligned. And put their details in there. So that's my basic elements. As I mentioned, the frame I'll do later. So this is the basic elements, and then I'm going to move on to the next section where I'll start putting the content in around this framework. Okay, so what we've got here is our templates, and we're going to start putting our material in here. Now we need to put our content in there. What I've got here is all my preview files. So what I do is I start bringing in the different elements of the resource. So different elements of the resource here. And I don't use all of them. I normally just pick a few at random. We need a couple of the different worksheets, and there we go here. What I like to do is give them a bit of depth. I've tried a few different things. What I find is easy is that I just put a glow around them. And this is far better before. So if you remember previously, I just used to have a photo of the resources, hard to read. And what I'll do is start resizing them, and then I'll send them to the back. So I'm just using a quick tool, which is Apple square bracket to send it back. Or you can right click on it and send it back this way. Send it to the back. But I want to send it all the way to the back. And I tend to put things on different angles like that. I always do overlapping as well. It makes it harder for people to copy my resources. And the idea is I can get different ones. So I want to send this way, back behind frame there. This resource here. One in front, not quite that far, but then we want to send this one back. There, and we'll go down and select it. There we go. What I'm looking at here is I've got the pictures arranged. They're sitting behind there. They're showing a lot of the resource, but at the same time, they're blocking all the different details on there. When we come into the second slide here, you start to put a bit more specific information on here. So I'll pick one which I think looks pretty good. And I will just enlarge it. And once again, I go edit, background glow, adjust it, send it to the back. And this is where you can, so it builds historical understanding. We've got some details down in there. It's curated information. So I'm highlighting the point, organized for easy access. Put in resources in there. Let's put that up a bit. So it highlights the different elements there of the actual resource itself. And then when I've got to look at the later one, so we've got our comprehension task, whoops, go in there. And we've got our solution task. So you don't have to overwhelm all the different resources. Once again, we go click, make it glow, send this one all the way to the back, send that all the way to the back. Let's pick up this little one here. So here we're holding clear research requirements, so we can see the table, curated information there as well. Curated information should really update. So note taking skills. That's why we say we want to highlight on that particular one. We could also add in here because I've got this source here I can do source skills. Change the color of that. Colors haven't we done? I've already got those on the page. Got that on the page. See the colors I like. There we go. And then we can adjust these. So what we're really highlighting here is clear student instruction research requirements. So it's curated. We know what the students are going to do. Note-taking skills, comprehension task source skills. And this sort of then sells that story. The last thing we come in here is we've got solutions here somewhere. There they are. Bring the solutions up. Same type of arrangement again. We emboss this end to the back. Just highlights that it's got time-saving solutions in there. And last thing is we've got a screenshot of our PowerPoint. I chuck it in the actually what I normally do is let's resize the laptop slightly. That looks a bit funny, so we actually need a box in there. Let's fill this up. And we'll make it black, just so it doesn't look as funny, so we can get rid of that white background. Make it black. We'll send it back. So there we go. Looks like more like a screen on there. And I'll just adjust the size of this. I'll send it to the back. Bring that one forward. Hang it up a bit. And there we go. So it's basically, it's telling a story. We've got our overall introduction of all the different resources and the benefits. What type of resource it is, what topic it covers within the course, history skills, develop future skills and knowledge. So we're saying we're building historical understanding. It's curated information because it's designed by teachers. Need to bring that one out a little bit. Organized for easy access, so it's obviously accessible to students. And then we've got research, note-taking skills, source skills. So it's telling a story of what the benefits of the resource is. And finally, it's got time-saving resources. It's a complete activity, and it comes with an editable slide deck for flexible teaching, so I can adjust to what I want. And the last thing I do is I keep this, it's got a frame, and I just drop this frame around it. And it just makes it better when it's on the picture. So that is our completed activity there. So we're just going to cut the frame there. We need to shrink this text a little bit. Get the frame back on because it was cutting a bit out at the bottom. Same with the top. Let's bring the gallery walk down a fraction. There we go. When we upload it, that's actually what it's going to look like. Now what we obviously do in Canva is we export that file as PNGs and we upload it up there. Okay, here we are back on my TPT store, and we're looking at the product that we've just updated. The two images, no actual proper thumbnail design, how it looks when the customer comes in, and how it looks now with the new updated products. I'll probably work on the Land Battles font there. It doesn't look the best, but now when we come in, we see the complete picture. So this is an example of 4 slides or 4 thumbnails that actually tells a story about your product when they look at them in their entirety. So we divide up different pages to tell different aspects of the story, but we might keep it clear and simple. Hope this is helpful. Like I said, don't necessarily copy my design. It is what actually works for me and for my products. If you do a general search on high-selling products on TPT, you'll see lots of different approaches by different people, what works for their particular niche. Hopefully you found this useful. Any questions, like and comment below, and I look forward to it. And keep up the good work, and I'll catch you next time.